finished up May of 25, and that same month I took this job as chief. Like, hey, I'm not gonna be home. There's this dude got decapitated, and so we're gonna, right at the end of shift, and so we have to stay over.
They had like underground fight clubs out there when I was coming
It
up.
wasn't really a concern, and there would be times where we knew, like September 1st, probably not gonna go to school that day.
Chief Matthew Thomas, you have been in law enforcement for over 33 years. You just hit 33 years last weekend.
Yes.
You have been all over the place. You are now the chief of a local PD here in Arizona. You've worked with Sheriff Mark Lamb. You've worked with Sheriff Ross Teeple.
Yes.
You've been all over the place. You've done undercover work. Been on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Much like myself, you're born and raised in Arizona. And
Let's go Natives.
yes, sir. And you chose to then go into law enforcement and serve the community out here in Arizona. And you've worked for SWAT. You've worked for all sorts of different things. You're an author of your book Interceptors, where you're talking about your time in fighting cartels and such like that. Tell us about your life, brother.
It's been crazy. It's been a hell of a ride. So, like you said, born and raised in Phoenix, grew up there, and then started high school there and moved out to Queen Creek, which is, it doesn't look anything, or didn't look anything like it does now, because it's been completely invaded by California, as we were talking about offline. Finished out high school in Queen Creek, and then shortly after high school, my then girlfriend, now wife, started dating, and we were not high school sweethearts. She did not like me at all in high school. I convinced her afterwards that I was an all right guy, and she fell for that. And yeah, she was 20 years old. I was coming up on 20, and all of a sudden she was pregnant, and I had to figure out life really, really quick. And so law enforcement and the military were the two places I was kind of focused on, and Pinal County was the first to hire me. So in 1993, I went to work for them and stayed there for 32 years. Finished up May of 25, and that same month I took this job as chief, and so left the county. Ross was gracious enough to give me a glowing recommendation for the chief's job, and took that job on, and I've been there coming up on a year now. And yeah, man, other than that, I hunt, I fish. My wife, she's stuck with me for 33 years through this hot mess called law enforcement, because it's not easy being a cop's wife or a cop's family. So there's a lot that goes along with that, especially like the undercover stuff and the SWAT stuff, getting called out and having to drop everything and go all the time. So yeah, that's it, man. In a nutshell, I got three kids, three beautiful kids. One of them is just getting ready to graduate high school, and my middle daughter, she's got her two grandkids, and she's living out in Florida. And my oldest daughter's out there as well. And that's it. That's me, man.
Okay. I mean, you were talking about you've been married to your wife for a really long time.
Yes.
And I don't think men quite understand how important it is to have a good partner. Yep. To be able to do big things. And, I sing my girlfriend's praises all the time, and to her as well, where, right. I'll tell her, there is no way that I could be the man that I am if it wasn't for the woman that you are.
100%.
And there's just, that's been kind of a finishing touch and like a honing of the edge for me, is to have that support at home. And I don't think men give enough credit to the women in their lives that stabilize things, that keep them from having to worry about the things that we worry about, just living meagerly as bachelors or what have you. I would just come home and, working a 30-hour weekend at a gun show or something like that, and would just come home and it's like McDonald's and sleep and right. Not taking care of myself. And now I'm like, yeah, I'd love an omelet. Thank you. Like, I'm eating healthy and being happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, so kudos to her
Yeah,
for sticking it out.
she's a champ, and like I said, it's not easy, and you do need that. And I think looking back, like a lot of times when I was in it, I think even then you don't appreciate, right? Because you're for me, I was go go go. I was all about the job, and I was very focused on the stuff I was doing, and had to be, especially like in the SWAT realm and the undercover realm. You're just it's high speed, so you're going, going, going. And I had a wife and I had kids, and so she did a phenomenal job at holding that all together, and then making the adjustments because people don't understand how you have to adjust your family around the job too. So your weekends are in the middle of the week. So on the weekends, mom's having to figure out what to do with the kids to get them out of the house because dad's sleeping because he's working nights. And then, oh, your birthday is on this day. Well, dad doesn't have that day off, so we're going to celebrate your birthday here, or we're going to celebrate Christmas here, and making those types of adjustments. And then security wise, right? Like when I was undercover, walking into stores, and we had protocols set up. So if certain things took place, if I said certain things or did certain things, she understood what that protocol was, and then she would take the kids and they would do something different, and I would break off so that a bad guy would not put two and two together that was my family.
Right.
So there's a whole lot involved with the career, and then just I think it's funny now because social media, you see a lot of cops' wives they have these groups and they talk and they throw things out on social media, and it's funny to watch that stuff because back then no social media, but it was still a thing. Like the wives all know that like one of their favorite sounds is the vest coming off, and
Right.
hearing the vest come off, and because you're home safe, and the weird phone calls that you get like, hey, I'm not gonna be home. There's this dude got decapitated, and so we're gonna, right at the end of shift, and so we have to stay over, and having a wife on the other end, it's like, okay, well, I made some food, and it's in the microwave or whatever, and that's a normal conversation for us.
Right.
And if you took that conversation into someone else's family, they'd be like, WTF, man. Like,
Yeah.
what? You decapitated, look, what? And so yeah, it's a weird thing, but the women do, they definitely, I think anybody that considers themselves a warrior, you've got to have a strong woman at home so that you can go out and do that shit.
And Chris kind of talked about that when he was on Chris Haynes.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about like going to the grocery store with his kids, and if something were to happen, that they know to like go to the front desk or something like that, and something's going on with my dad. Here's the situation,
Right.
and kind of give that observe and report type of scenario.
Yeah.
If and the fact that they're trained into that is crazy.
Yeah.
And now it seems like we're almost getting to a point where just even civilians are having to live similar lives because of all the crazy things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
I own a body armor company, right? So I have a set of armor in the back of my car. I got my AR back there, and it's just like, I'm driving this little sedan, and my girlfriend, luckily very much on the same page as I am, and was just like, I get it, but I know you're going to make it home. And I love that. But I mean, this is kind of sadly the world that we live in now. And you're talking about Queen Creek, back in the 90s. I lived out at ASU East when I was 17.
Yeah. Back when it was Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. Right as it was switching over to Williams Gateway. And I joke about it, but it's true. I used to give directions by saying, get off on Power Road, take a right. And when it starts to smell like cow shit, give me a call because you're near my house.
Right.
And they would be like, okay. And, oh, God, dude, it smells so bad out here. And I'm like, yeah, I'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that neighborhood as well, like just before 9/11, early 2000. And lived out there, was living out there when 9/11 kicked off.
Yep.
And it was just a different time.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, we eluded you guys as well, because I used to ride motorcycles, and I was doing 155 down Power Road, but there was nothing out there, know?
Right.
And just to see how crazy it's shifted in the 20-something years since then.
I know, man.
I mean, I take my girlfriend. My girlfriend's from Oregon, and she has an 8-year-old daughter. and we were driving out in that area, and I was just like, when I was out here, there wasn't anything down this whole road except for Robert's tires, and I worked there, you know.
Yep.
But it's crazy to see the shift, because that used to be just this tiny little podunk country town, and now it's affluent. Like, you know, there's big money out there.
Big money.
Yeah, and yet there's also still crime, and we have all this stuff going on. Like, not so much the Gilbert Goons anymore, but it's like, you know, they had like underground fight clubs out there when I was coming up. And, you know, then a bunch of my friends got hooked on heroin. It's just crazy to see how much of a shift has happened, and like kind of where society's at now.
Yeah, man, it's come a long ways, and I feel like we're getting faster and faster at spinning out of control. You know what I mean, with technology and everything else. Because you know, back then when I went to Queen Creek, when I first moved out there, like my graduating class was 42 people, and my wife graduated before me. Hers was 26, so super small, right? And our high school, elementary school, middle school, they were all on the same campus. And like you look at what Queen Creek is now, and you'd be like, no way was it ever that small. But it was super small. Everybody kind of hung out together. So you had skaters, stoners, cowboys, jocks, everybody. It didn't matter, because we were all just together, right?
Right.
We were bulldogs.
You weren't big enough to have clips.
It was like you're wearing Wolverines. It was almost like that, right? It didn't really matter. We were all just together at high school there, and we all played sports together and did our thing. And you know, guys would have rifles in their racks in the back of their truck, and that wasn't really a concern. And there would be times where we knew, like September 1st, probably not going to go to school that day because you're going to go dove hunting, because that's when dove season opens. So a whole different time, man. And now, you know, it's difficult sometimes, because when I drive to go down to Costco, and, you know, there's 2,000 fucking Teslas, and they all have Cali plates, and, you know, you're just like, oh my God, these people. And so it's different, man. It's, and of course, I think society just in general, our whole world has changed so much, because it felt, when I was growing up, it felt a lot more like humans cared about humans. You know, you had some people that were outcasts and just didn't give a shit, but for the most part, people cared about each other. And I think that is getting lost more and more in today's society. And you get these areas that blow up like Queen Creek with population, and I think people just lose contact with each other.
I'm sure you've probably heard people talking about peptides. It piqued your interest, you looked into it, but you don't know what source to trust. A lot of this stuff is coming out of China. If you're looking for a good quality peptide that's made in the United States, go to helixpure.com.